I was at a teacher conference. I believe it was in Houston a few years back. And my friend and acclaimed author, Ellen O, champion of diversity, a co-founder of We Need Diverse Books, invited me to breakfast at the hotel restaurant. I didn't think a thing of it at the time. She's a friend. I was looking forward to catching up. And certainly we did that over sausage and scrambled eggs and breakfast tacos and all the bounty that the hotel breakfast could provide. We really went for it. Trust me when I say this, we were in a good mood. And having filled me with joyful breakfast goodies and some caffeine, she slipped into the conversation an idea that I later realized she'd been contemplating for a while. She said, we really could use a Native focused children's book imprint. And I said, yes, wouldn't that be amazing? We're doing well, though, to get a few books here and there. If we ever break 1% of total representation, I will personally throw some sort of celebration. And she said, there are all these imprints popping up out there. And I said, yes, that's true. And she said, and I think that you would be the perfect person to head this sort of initiative up. And I said, what? No, I am not famous or fancy in that way. So she made me essentially promise to just think about it. She pointed out that I have been in the business for some 20 years, that I have published at pretty much every age market category, that I've done both realistic and speculative fiction, that I've done some creative narrative nonfiction, and that I teach writing for young readers at Vermont College of Fine Arts. I'm an MFA professor. So a good part of the balance of my time is directly focused on developing new voices and helping them to shine. And so I filed it away in my mind. Every once in a while, she would send just a little nudge, a friendly one. And I promised I would keep thinking. And then sometime later, it was less than 6 months later, I found myself teaching a Native workshop. I was with Don Quigley and Tim Tingle and some professional industry faculty. And we were at a workshop called Loon Song Turtle Island that was organized by Debbie Dahl Edwardson, who was a National Book Award finalist for My Name Is Not Easy, which was essentially the story of her husband's boarding school's experience. And Debbie's a white woman who is the mama of a bounty of Inupiaq children, and she very much wanted to empower voices from within the community. So I was carrying Ellen's words in the back of my mind. I was meeting with Native authors. I found myself at one moment seated on a kind of screened-in porch patio overlooking Cook Lake. We were in Anishinaabe country, Ojibwe country. We had wonderful Ojibwe wild rice. Apparently, the key to getting me to do anything is to feed me first, and that will, get the synapses snapping. And I could hear these amazing Native writers inside the lodge laughing and telling stories. And, we were talking about Don Quigley, Angeline Bully, Kara Lindstrom, a number of people who are successfully and actively publishing now. Maybe they hadn't yet, or they were at earlier points in their careers. Debbie Reese and Jean Mendoza were there from American Indians and Children's Literature. We were going deep into what was out there, what needed to be out there. And I could see all these manuscripts spread out in front of me. I'd had this conversation with Ellen, and she had said, that one of the concerns that publishers had was that the voices weren't necessarily out there, that they weren't getting those submissions. And I realized that part of that was probably because a lot of Native people didn't know that children's literature was an option for them based on what had been previously published, and that they didn't necessarily know always who to turn to or where the door would be open. And it just hit me. All of this joy and laughter, all this hope for young readers, the commitment that I was seeing from these writers when we got together, they weren't talking about how to get an agent and what editors were looking for. In fact, one of the editors said to me, we're here. They can ask us questions about publishing, but they're talking about Native children and reading. And I said, that's where their hearts are. Yes, they would love to have books that could be connected, and that's part of it, but that's not the heart of it. And I thought, maybe I should try. And so I came back home and I reached out to Ellen and I said, how serious were you about this? And she said, extremely, very, let's do it now. Yes, please. I'm paraphrasing, but that is the energy I was getting. And I said, well, I know the perfect person. And that was Rosemary Brosnan at Harper Children. She was my original children's book editor. So I knew that she was interested in groundbreaking and contemporary Native children's literature 20 years before, when nobody was doing it, when people didn't even know what to do with those books, because how were they historical? Well, they weren't, right? So I knew that she would understand. I knew that, she had published authors like Uma Krishnaswamy and Rita Williams Garcia, that she'd been committed to this conversation around diversity and inclusion well before it really gained momentum. And so I had trust. This was someone I could trust with my cousins. And I connected her and Ellen, and we came up with the idea that We Need Diverse Books would be a partner to the imprint. And so our work with them is in concert. We are able through HarperCollins to fund an annual workshop that develops up and coming Native authors and author illustrators. And some of their work goes to us and some of it goes to other publishers, big publishers, Native owned publishers, tribally owned publishers. And that's all part of the bigger mission. We want to put out wonderful, heartfelt books that center on young Native heroes and joy. And we also want to help raise up more voices and visions throughout the industry. So it's so funny now when I talk to Ellen, originally we were thinking about 4 to 6 books, and she was like, oh, if we could only have 4 to 6 books. And I said, well, we've bought over 20 now this year. And, it's so wonderful to even just joke back and forth. She's like, well, you did that. I was like, oh, no. If you're the one who put me on the road so I could get my little, wagon wheels churning, and we're happy. It was really exciting to release those first books. We experienced a wonderful critical reception. I think the 5 titles have received a combined 19 starred reviews, and all of them multiple. And they were doing that while doing what Ellen told us to do: write native structures, native literary style, hybrid, you do you. And she was right. Our fairy godmother made it happen, and the magic rocks on.